Hi there, good morning. You've tuned into ET now, and this is Market Cafe with me, Cheryl D'Souza. Along with me, I have Vinny Motiwala. A very good morning to you, Vinny. I think it's a rare sight for all of our viewers, isn't it, to catch both of us at 7 a.m.?
Absolutely, a very rare sight that we're seeing both of us. Started by Market Cafe with you, so it's been a while that we've done it again together. So sure, doing the show together has been interesting, but interesting day coming in even when you look at the US market. Cheryl.
Absolutely, no doubt. Our Indian markets notched a record high on an intraday basis. Also, you had the similar picture coming in for S&P and Nasdaq, but it's been a mixed close, isn't it?
Absolutely a mixed close because like you were mentioning, S&P 500, Nasdaq surely managed to see those record high levels closing at near those levels. But Dow Jones, that's been declining in the last couple of trading sessions. Dow Jones even yesterday closed with cuts of almost 0.1% in trade. And as of now, when you're looking at the futures, also a bit of a muted move that's coming in on the futures front. Now, overall, what happened over in the US market when you're looking at it? S&P 500, Nasdaq closing with positive gains. S&P 500 up almost 0.1%, Nasdaq up 0.1% as well. And mainly what was pulling up the Nasdaq was the Nvidia stock that saw a sharp uptick coming in, 2.5% uptick, which was actually offsetting the declines that were there in the other chip stocks. Other than that, Tesla also managed to see strong gains of around 3 to 4%, while Microsoft was one of those companies which was actually seeing a decline. Nasdaq managed to gain for the 6th consecutive day, while S&P 500 was gaining for the 5th consecutive day. A lot of optimism around the AI and those stocks which have been buzzing is something that is keeping these two indices on the positive side. What we're watching out for is now the US Fed Chair Jerome Powell actually said that the lawmakers will be more in terms of they look out for data points, and if the economic data points are going to be positive, then they are okay to be cutting rates. So surely on the rate cut front also that everyone is keeping an eye out on. That means the inflation target is of the 2% mark is something that they will start achieving, then we could see those rate cuts coming in. Other than that, let's just look at the European markets. They do close before the US markets, but European markets closed a bit weak. DAX closed down almost 1.3% in trade. FTSE was also down 0.6% in trade. So yes, we saw some bit of a pressure that came in yesterday in terms of the European market. Shares like BP, Novo or Nordisk, all of them fell in trade, and because of that we saw some bit of a pressure overall on stocks 600 also, that was down almost 1% in trade. So that's how we're seeing the global cues coming in, Cheryl, and mainly European was weak, so we'll keep an eye out on that because how the opening happens for Indian markets is something to watch out for. As of now, implied open is also quite muted that you're looking at.
Absolutely muted coming in for implied open, and also you have the Asian markets also, they're not too participating in this particular move, so that's why you see the reflection on the GIFT Nifty indication as well. But also crude markets also, it's a different picture that you saw yesterday as well as this morning. So if you talk about yesterday particularly, you had the oil prices that eased more than 1%. This after the traders actually figured out that the prolonged supply disruption from the Hurricane Beryl was unlikely after the US oil producing hub in Texas suffered less storm damage than was feared. Remember that if you look at Texas, it actually accounts for more than 40% of the crude supplied in the United States, which is the world's top producer. This morning, if you look at the crude prices, it's a different picture. Like I said, the oil prices have rebounded this following 3 days of decline. This because of the industry report showed that the US crude and the fuel stockpiles have fallen last week, which indicates a steady demand, and the outlook coming in for interest rates also have actually gone ahead and improved. If you look at the API figures, it showed that the crude stocks were down by about 1.92 million barrels in the week ended July 5th. As well as the gasoline inventory figures fell by about 2.9 million barrels. So it was a bit of picture coming in, and that's supporting the prices today, and that's one of the reasons why you're seeing the oil prices actually see an up move. And also you had the Jerome Powell's comments coming in, which suggested that the case for the interest rate cuts is becoming stronger, and that lower interest rates should spur more economic growth and therefore also improve oil consumption. So that's the way how the picture is looking, at least for the crude market. Yesterday it fell, but today it is up.
Okay, that's the picture for the crude market, but a lot of events and cues that we're watching out for today as well. On the domestic front, we do have the assembly buy polls for 13 seats, so keeping an eye on that. US wholesale inventory data will be coming out on the global front, as well as the API weekly crude oil stock. That is also something that we are watching out for. On the domestic front, a lot of AGMs you're watching out for. Emphasis, Crompton Green Consumer Electricals, Shoppers Stop is what one should keep an eye out on. While in terms of Q1 numbers, Tata Elxsi as well as Kesoram Industries will be reporting their Q1 FY25 numbers. Other than that, you do have two new IPOs that will be listing today. Bansal Wire will be listing as well as Emcure Pharma. So keep an eye on both these stocks as well on the back of their listing today. Lock-in period will be ending for Assist Healthcare, so that is the one to watch out for in terms of any move that we see after this lock-in period for around 6% of the equity stake ends today. I beg your pardon. On the other domestic front, we also have Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit that is going to be in Austria now, and any talks on that front, keep an eye out on that. Piyush Goyal will be talking at the FICCI's National Executive Committee meeting, so all that is important to watch out for. And two important block deals that are expected today, Delivery as well as Mankind Pharma, so keeping an eye out on all of that.
A lot of events to actually keep an eye out on this Wednesday. But let's talk about the biggest talking point this morning, and has to be the comments coming in from Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. The central bank leader expressed concerns over how higher for longer rates could actually dent economic growth. Even as he flagged concerns over the lofty rates, he lauded the US economy and the labor market for the continued strength despite the recent cool-off. Powell cited some easing in inflation, which he said policymakers stay resolute in bringing down it to their goal of about 2% or so. Remember that the commentary coincides with the approaching one-year anniversary of the last time the FOMC raised the benchmark interest rates.
In the labor market, a broad set of indicators suggests that conditions have returned to about where they stood on the eve of the pandemic, strong but not overheated. The unemployment rate has moved higher, but was still at a low level of 4.1% in June. We continue to make decisions meeting by meeting. We know that reducing policy restraint too soon or too much could stall or even reverse the progress that we've seen on inflation. At the same time, in light of the progress we've made both in lowering inflation and in cooling the labor market over the past 2 years, elevated inflation is not the only risk we face. Reducing policy restraint too late or too little could unduly weaken economic activity and employment. In considering adjustments to the target range for the federal funds rate, the committee will continue its practice of carefully assessing incoming data and their implications for the evolving outlook, the balance of risks, and the appropriate path of monetary policy. Doesn't seem likely that the next policy move would be a rate increase. We don't take things like that off the table, but that does not seem the likely direction. The likely direction does seem to be in, as we make more progress in inflation and as the labor market remains strong, we begin to loosen policy at the right moment.
And meanwhile, the U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen comments on inflation will be important and in focus today. Now, Yellen expects inflation to ease over time, even as rent and house costs keep inflation in the United States on the higher than preferred mark that they have. Additionally, she said that the inflationary factors, including supply issue and labor market tightness, have eased, which would help continue drive down the consumer price pressure.
All right, let's take some stock-specific action in the global market. Shares of the oil major BP actually took a hit after the company flagged it expects to post an impairment of up to $2 billion in the second quarter and also warned of lower refining margins weighing on their results. They also anticipate weak refining margins and oil trading performance to weigh on the earnings. The hit is estimated anywhere between $500 to $700 million.
Meanwhile, the U.S. President Joe Biden has announced new commitments to help Ukraine amp up its defense against Russia. The aid will include new batteries and components for Patriot missile systems donated by U.S., Germany, Romania, the Netherlands, among others. Italy will make additional missile system donations. And remember, Joe Biden's remarks were another opportunity for him to surge democratic fears about his 2024 candidacy.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been conferred with Russia's highest civilian award, that is the Order of the St. Andrew the Apostle. The Prime Minister held bilateral talks with Russian President Putin. Also, while addressing the close ties between India and Russia, Prime Minister stated that the two leaders held discussion on Ukraine in detail. He's also said that he placed the global South's expectation on peace and stability before Putin. Also remember that what Prime Minister said, that India is ready to cooperate in all ways possible for the restoration of peace.
ये रिश्ता म्यूचुअल ट्रस्ट और म्यूचुअल रिस्पेक्ट की मजबूत नींव पर बना है। और वो गाना तो यहां के घर घर में कभी गाया जाता था, सर पे लाल टोपी रूसी, फिर भी ये गीत भले ही पुराना हो गया हो, लेकिन सेंटिमेंट्स एवरग्रीन है। भारत रूस मित्रता के कारण जब दुनिया फूड, फ्यूल एंड फर्टिलाइजर के संकट से गुजर रही थी, हमारी मित्रता और हमारे सहयोग के कारण मैं मेरे देश के किसानों को फर्टिलाइजर में मुसीबत में नहीं आने दिया। फर्टिलाइजर की उनकी जो आवश्यकता है उसकी पूरी करने में हम सफल रहे। आपके सहयोग के कारण भारत में हम सामान्य नागरिक को पेट्रोल, डीजल की आवश्यकताओं में कठिनाइयों से हम बचा पाए। पीढ़ी के उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए शांति सर्वाधिक आवश्यक है, लेकिन मैं ये भी जानता हूं कि युद्ध के मैदान में समाधान संभव नहीं होते। बम, बंदूक और गोलियों के बीच समाधान और शांति वार्ताएं सफल नहीं होती हैं, और हमने वार्ता के माध्यम से ही शांति के रास्ते अपनाने होंगे।
And moving on from Austria, there's yet another grand welcome that comes in from Prime Minister Narendra Modi as he lands in Vienna as Austrian artists sang Vande Mataram. In a post on X, Prime Minister shared his views, calling his visit to Austria a special one, and that he is looking forward to various programs, including talks with Chancellor Karl, as well as remember, this is the first time an Indian Prime Minister has visited Austria in 41 years. In 1983, Indira Gandhi was the last Prime Minister to visit the country.
All right, on that note, we'll slip into a break on this edition of Market Cafe. More stocks news after the break. Welcome back. You're watching Market Cafe on ET Now. Let's take stock of what the Asian markets are doing at this point in time and how the Asian picture is looking like. But if you look at the rest of the Asian markets, pretty muted trade coming in, be it your Nikkei, be it your Kospi, or for the matter of fact Shanghai. The only one that's very bright spot at this point in time has to be Hang Seng, because that one is seeing gains about 1.3%, and one of the primary reasons also could be the way how Alibaba is actually rising in trade. It is actually leading support to the Hang Seng index. You've also had some of the data come in for the Chinese market. The consumer prices has come in much lower than estimated, while the producer prices come in line with the estimates. But if you look at the Asian markets, the rest of the Asia is actually pretty muted. If you look at the MSCI Asia Pacific Index, which is ex-Japan, that's actually seen a decline of about 0.3%. Remember, it had actually surged to an over 2-year high at the start of the week. So you have the Asian markets that are also digesting or taking note of what Federal Reserve Chairperson, that is Jerome Powell, had to say on overnight. And that's one of the reasons why you can see Asia doing absolutely nothing, and ditto coming in for Gift Nifty, because it's indicating a very muted start for us, Vinny.
Absolutely, keeping an eye out on the Indian market. Welcome back. You're watching Market Cafe on ET Now. Moving to some domestic news flows now. We did have Tata Steel's top boss, TV Narendran, who met with the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to share his wish list for the upcoming budget. Sumit Chaturvedi caught up with TV Narendran on what are his recommendations to the FM. Listen in.
I think the concern we have is the increasing imports into India from China as well as countries like Vietnam. because, the steel industry is, in some sense, leading the charge as far as private sector investment is concerned. I think between the steel companies, including Tata Steel, we are investing 40,000 crores a year in increasing capacity. So when you have steel coming in, which is priced, very unfairly, I think the profitability of the industry is certainly impacted, and if it goes on for too long, then obviously it will impact the ability to invest. I think that's a concern that we have.
Have you proposed any kind of import duty on that?
No, so as Indian Steel Association, we've taken it up with the ministry, and let's see where it goes.
As far as higher ministries are concerned, you said that you have taken it up with the ministries.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like I said, as Indian Steel Association, which is the Association of Steel Producers, we've written to the ministries and said that we've highlighted this as a point for them to look at.
And prices, what about the steel prices? What kind of outlook you have for the steel prices over the next few weeks?
Well, this is typically a weak period because of the monsoons, etc. But the demand is strong. I think the demand has been going well, but steel prices are obviously dependent on what's happening in the international markets.
So last question, if you would like to answer that, your meeting budget demands, what do you want to have? What do you want government to come up with for you?
Well, I think as steel industry and as Tata Steel, we've always said we want the focus on infrastructure to continue, because not only does it help steel demand, but it also helps reduce the cost of doing business outside the factory gates. So reducing the cost of doing business and improving the ease of doing business, I think, is what is most important.
All right, and also that is the budget wish list, where sources have said that the union budget may actually see some relief come in for the city gas distribution companies, and as a result for the CNG consumers as well. The central excise duty on CNG could be cut to 5 to 7% from 14% right now. Prakash has filed this report. Listen in.
Yes, an important development coming in, as the government is likely to provide big relief to the city gas distribution companies in the upcoming budget. A big relief also expected for the CNG consumers as well, as sources are informing that the government is likely to rationalize taxation structure on CNG and compressed biogas, that is CBG. We are given to understand that the government may cut central excise duty to 5 to 7% from existing 14% on CNG. A very significant development coming in, as sources are informing that the Oil Ministry has submitted this proposal to the Ministry of Finance in order to provide relief to the city gas distribution companies so that they could undertake a massive expansion going forward. Along with that, it will also provide relief to the CNG consumers, as the prices are expected to come down. The second important proposal that the Oil Ministry has submitted to the Finance Ministry is with regard to double taxation issue on compressed biogas, that is CBG. At this point of time, compressed biogas is under GST, where the 5% GST is being levied. But the government is also collecting 14% central excise duty on CBG if it is being blended with CNG. Therefore, there is a clear case of double taxation, and the Oil Ministry wants it to be corrected. Therefore, the proposal has been submitted to the Ministry of Finance. So we are expecting some big announcement for CNG and compressed biogas consumers, and relief is also expected for the city gas distribution companies to undertake massive expansion going forward.
Thanks so much for that, Prakash. But what do these major cuts in excise duty, if they come in, what do they mean for consumers as well as city gas distribution companies? Soumit is here to explain us all of that. Good morning, Soumit.
Well, definitely the move by the government will be beneficial for the consumers, but will also benefit the government-owned city gas distribution companies. Now, this move would most likely benefit Mahanagar Gas and Indraprastha Gas, followed by Gujarat Gas. Now, the reduction of excise duty was in consideration for a very long time, and any reduction will make CNG much more cheaper when compared to competing fuels like petrol and diesel. Currently, if you see, using CNG comes to be around 30 to 40% cheaper compared to petrol and diesel, and this gap could further widen going forward if the taxes have been lowered. Now, as per our calculation, lower taxes would reduce the prices by around 5 to 6 rupees per kg. Now, if you Mumbai, if you see, the prices are around 75 65 rupees per kg, and this could come down to around 69 rupees per kg if the taxes are lowered from 14.4% currently to around 5 to 7 odd percent. Now, lower prices will aid in more car conversions going forward, and more car conversions will ensure higher volumes for the city gas distribution companies. Now, lower prices will also give city gas distribution companies the headroom going forward to increase prices if the cost of raw material increases or the supply of domestically produced gas comes down. So this also gives them the headroom to keep their margins stable going forward. So that's also one of the beneficial points coming in for the city gas distribution companies. Now, why it will benefit MGL and IGL more? Because CNG volumes contribute nearly 71 to 73% of the total volumes for MGL and IGL. For Gujarat Gas, the benefits will be a bit lower given the fact that of the total volumes only 30% comes from CNG. So this potential move that the government could announce in the upcoming budget would benefit Mahanagar Gas and IGL the most, followed by Gujarat Gas.
For that, Somit, for doing all of the number crunching to help us understand, in case this particular move is introduced in the union budget, what impact it will have in the city gas distribution companies. But moving on, in order to address the regulatory issues and protect small investors from risks in index as well as the stock options trading, a SEBI-appointed expert group on exchange-traded derivatives have started discussions on multiple proposals, which also includes increasing margining or lot size. Ankur is here to tell us exactly what are the details. Ankur, over to you.
Yes, sources say that SEBI's Secondary Market Advisory Committee may discuss the suggestions which has been given on future and options. Now, who has given these suggestions? Remember, SEBI had formed a working group to study the implications which is due to the high volumes of F&O and the implications which are there on retail investors per se. So keeping in mind the investor protection, the working group has come out with few of the suggestions which will be presented in the meeting which is set to be held next week. Now, what are these suggestions which has been thought by the working group? It includes increasing the margin as well as lot size of future and options. Remember, in past few years, the lot size has been actually decreased, keeping in mind the price of the stock and also giving an option to retail participation in future and options market. But in the recent past, there has been spurt of volumes in F&O, and therefore earlier Finance Minister had warned about the risk which it is carrying due to high volumes. And also remember, in the ET Now event only, RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das had said that they are watching this increase in volume in F&O. However, it is the domain of SEBI to act, and now we understand that SEBI may come into action. Now, as far as the suggestions of the working group for checking the risk in F&O is concerned, we understand that increasing in lot size may be suggested by the group, and also hike in margin requirements in F&O. It also includes rationalizing or limiting the weekly options, among other suggestions which are likely to be presented in the meeting which is set to be held next week.
Thank you so much for that, Ankur. But on that note, we're going to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. After the break, we'll get more stock specific and what stocks you should be keeping on your radar today at 9:15 a.m. Welcome back. You're watching Market Cafe on ET Now and talking about two important stocks that will be in focus today, Mankind Pharma as well as Delivery, on the back of a block deal that's expected in both of them. What are the details of this? Sharath is joining in with us. Good morning, Sharath.
Well, good morning. Two important block deals coming today, and first one is Mankind Pharma. Over here, Capital Group affiliate SEBI is likely to sell 0.9% stake in the company, which is valued at 763 crore rupees. Now, the overall deal is coming at around 2,061 rupees per share, which is implying a 2% discount to the current market prices. And currently, this Capital Group affiliate is holding almost 2.22% stake. That means there would be a stake pairing of almost 1%. Also, the second block deal of the day is expected is Delivery, where Canada Pension Fund is expected to sell almost 3.2% stake valued at 885 crore rupees per share. Now, the deal is coming within the range of 378 to 389 rupees per share, which implies a 3.5% discount to the current market price. It's expected that this would be a complete exit for the Canada Pension, And interestingly, on April 25th itself, Canada Pension Fund had sold 2.8% stake worth almost 900 crore rupees via 2 block deals. So these two companies will be in focus, Delivery and Mankind Pharma, when it comes to block deals today.
Thanks for that, Sharath, for outlining actually who could be the likely sellers in these two block deals. But Ansh is here to tell us what are we expecting about when it comes to the F&O market and what's the F&O snapshot that we should work around with, Ansh?
Yes, let's start with what FIS did in the previous session. So in index future, we are seeing that they have added longs by around 10,000 contract, but they have added some shorts as well by around 1,500 contract. But net to net basis, we are going up by around 8,900 contract, due to which the total long has inched a bit higher from 83.6 to 83.7%, which shows they continue to be bullish in the market. But at the same time, if we see retail's action, then in index future, they have covered some 700 contract, but they have added shorts by around 3,800 contract. So net to net basis, we are seeing addition of 4,500 contract on downside, due to which the total long has dipped lower from 33.4 to 33.2%, indicating their bearish stance in the market. Now, if we talk about Nifty, then in previous session, yes, we hit record high level, but on charts, if you see, then Nifty has been consolidating from last 5 consecutive session, indicating a bit of a neutral stance over here. If we talk about index future, then open interest has gone up by around 1.6%, indicating long build-up, which is a positive sign. Also, an option fund, we are seeing call buying happening at 24,500, indicating option traders expecting Nifty to go above this level. Whereas on downside, we are seeing very good put writing happening at 24,400, indicating good support around this level. Moving on to Nifty Bank, if you see the chart, then Nifty Bank has been consolidating from last 11 sessions in a wide range, and in the previous session as well, we are seeing that it traded within its previous session range only, so directional move was missing here. But if we see on index options, then today we have weekly option expiry, so we may expect some good volatility in banking stock, and here we are seeing call writing happening at the psychological level of 53,000, indicating some resistance around this level. Lastly, let's have a quick view on few F&O stocks that are in focus, and we are seeing significant long build-up happening in ITC, Sun Pharma and Ramco Cement, where short build-up for Bata India, RBL Bank and Polycab. Also in band list, we are seeing ABFRL, Balrampur Chini Bandhan Bank, Chambal Fertilizer, GNFC, IEX, India Cement, Industra and PL, 9 stocks today in band list. So keep an eye on the stocks.
Okay, surely keeping an eye out on these stocks in the world of F&O. But let's move on and talk about important stocks that will be in focus on the back of news flows. Jinay is joining in with us as always. Jinay, good morning.
Well, yes, good morning. So first up, we have Delta Corp on the back of Q1 results. So revenue saw a downtick of about 30%, coming in at 180.36 crores. Also, net profit saw a significant downtick of about 69%, coming in at 21.68 crores. Moving on, JSW Steel reported its Q1 update, where the Indian operations and consolidated production saw a downtick of about 6% sequentially and downtick of 1% on year-on-year basis. Also, the total combined volume stood at 6.35 million tons, with a downtick of about 6% sequentially and downtick of 4% Y-on-Y basis. Moving on, also we have a Q1 update from Marathon NextGen Realty. The pre-sales number stood at 214 crores, which was down about 46%, whereas the collection stood at 272 crores, which with an improvement of about 17%. Moving on, RVNL will be in focus because company has emerged as L1 bidder for from South Eastern Railway for an order worth 203 crores. Now the company has also signed an MOU with Tatweer Middle East and Africa LLC. This is for various role-based works in MENA region and other European countries. Also, the company has received LOA from MMRC for a Nagpur Metro project worth 187 crores. And lastly, keep your eyes on Lloyd Metals. This company has closed its QIP of 1,218 crores. The company will be setting up a pellet plant in Maharashtra.
Much for that, Jinay, for taking us through the stocks that have been in focus, but these are not the only stocks that have been in focus. Vinny, even Pidilite will be in focus, and I believe you have Nuvama that's actually met the management, is it?
Absolutely, Nuvama has met the management. Let's not forget also in the last 1 year, the stock has just seen a 20% growth, you know, versus other players obviously has seen some bit of a subduedness. Pidilite managed to see the 20% growth, but is it more interesting now? So in the highlight that came in from Nuvama, they believe that this is a good compounding story that will start playing out. When they met with the management of the company, they said the key highlight that was that the core categories, the management believes this could continue to do well for the company. Obviously, Pidilite is already among the top 2 in the tiles and stone solution market, and they are looking at sharply scaling up this side of the business, and the sealant category, that is what they will be looking to scale up as well. Currently, 39% of the monthly business is coming in from these Genie dealer apps, and the sales from e-commerce have surged 14 times in the last 3 years. Obviously, that lower base is there, but still a sharp growth. 14 times is a very, very strong growth that one is seeing in this e-commerce play for the company. Pidilite has a very big plan in terms of to become a major player in electronics and EV adhesive market that they want to focus on, trading at 65 times PE. What is they're factoring in always this PE valuation that we're seeing is already factoring in terms of the robust market position that's there with a strong distribution network and a good commitment in terms of innovation and strategic focus. That's a key factor to watch out for right now, and that's the main key highlight that they have coming in from the management. Also, obviously, let's not forget that Bharat Puri currently is the MD of the company. Also, senior management like Sudhanshu Vats, who's there, as well as CFO Sandeep Batra, also highlighted some important strategies during this meet. So, Nuvama continues to be positive on the stock, maintaining a buys, and the revised target price that they've given is 3,545 rupees per share.
All right, so these are not the only stocks that are in focus actually. You also have Supreme Industries that are being in focus. You have Jefferies that actually has come out with a note on Supreme Industries where they're maintaining a buy stance on the company while they've hiked the target price to about 6,700 rupees from 5,390 rupees per share. They're saying the pipe volumes have risen sharply, this despite high base. They're saying that the value-added sales focus can aid the margins. Also, they're saying that the SKU breadth and distribution depth can act as the moat for the share gains for the company going ahead. Therefore, they're viewing this company as a good play when it comes on housing, capex and agri. Therefore, they've gone ahead and seeing a better EPS CAGR as well for FY 24-27. Not just Supreme Industries. Take a look at Global Spirits when the markets open today, because Incred has come out with a note where they're maintaining an ad stance where they've hiked the target price for 15.99 from 15.62 rupees per share. They're saying that the company is firing on all cylinders. They're covering the entire whiskey segment, including the single malt. They're saying raw material and power costs have normalized, and also the IMFL negative contribution is likely to turn positive for FY 28, and also the margins of ethanol, ENA and IMIL is moving towards 10% and 20% respectively. And you have Maruti Suzuki. Remember, this particular counter was roaring in trade yesterday, a stock that actually lent support to the Nifty. Today, you have brokerages coming out on the note on the company. You have Morgan Stanley maintaining an overweight stance with a target price of 14,105 rupees per share. Macquarie maintaining a neutral stance with a target price of around 11,565 rupees per share. While both of them are believing that this would aid the market share going ahead for Maruti Suzuki. The fact that the UP tax waiver is a sizable one. They have given the incentives for the hybrid car, and the company is a very key player in this particular domain. But yes, both the brokerages are actually raising the big question, Vinny, is that will the other states also follow this particular move, and will the other states also ease the fees coming in for hybrid cars? So both of them pretty bullish on Maruti Suzuki, and you have Morgan Stanley setting a very hefty or lofty target price, 14,105.
Absolutely. Also, just let's keep an eye out on LTIMindtree also. You know, that's also going to be in focus after Incred has upgraded the stock to an ad from a previous reduce and hiked the target price to 5,998 rupees from 5,377 rupees. They believe the margin underperformance, yes, that's likely to continue, but FSI, that's financial side, high-tech recovery could be aiding the double-digit growth for the company going forward. So we'll be keeping an eye out on LTIMindtree as well.
Definitely very busy day, given the fact that we will have a lot of stocks to watch out for, isn't it, Vinny?
Absolutely, but let's look at some of these updates that are coming in this morning as well. And after almost 72 hours, the cops have finally arrested the BMW hit and run accused Mihir Shah from Virar, where he was hiding after allegedly ramming his luxury car into a two-wheeler, killing a woman, injuring her husband. Meanwhile, Shah's mother and sister were taken to custody as they also went hiding after the incident took place. Moving on, Maharashtra Legislative Assembly has unanimously passed the government resolution to change the names of railway stations. Remember, this comes days after the state cabinet had given consent to rename the railway stations amid strong demand from various political parties and social organizations. Also, update on the world of cricket. Indian cricket veteran Gautam Gambhir has been appointed as the new head coach of the Indian cricket team as he succeeds Rahul Dravid. Gautam Gambhir's first assignment will be the upcoming limited over series against Sri Lanka.
And US President Joe Biden will be meeting Ukrainian President Zelensky at NATO's 75th anniversary summit in Washington tomorrow to show unwavering support for the Kyiv as it continues to defend itself from Russian aggression. And Spain are into the final of Euro 2024. Spain displayed a stunning grit and resilience after France took an early lead in the 8th minute. But it was a teen sensation, Yamal, who actually scored one of the goals of the tournament to help Spain equalize in the 21st minute. Just 4 minutes later, you had Dani Olmo pounced into in the French box to head home the victorious goal. With this, Spain's Yamal becomes the youngest goal scorer at a major tournament at the age of just 16 years. Spain will now face either England or the Netherlands in the finals.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Market Cafe on ET Now. Thank you so much from Cheryl, myself, as well as the team who put this show together. Don't go anywhere. The markets will take the action forward.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.